Podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Listen to other great tech podcasts at www.techpodcasts.com.
Yo, you are in the right place at the right time, listening to the right thing. Tech Webcast. Congratulations on choosing such an awesome thing to listen to. You are clearly very smart. You're into tech stuff. You love hearing Brad and Jason and their guests chat, and you're probably really good looking too. Well done. So let's get into it. The weekly tech extravaganza that is Tech Webcast. In 3, 2, 1, let's go!
Welcome to episode 207 of the Tech Webcast podcast, recorded on Saturday, the 22nd of September 2012. Tech Webcast is recorded every Saturday and rebroadcast on Aussie Tech Heads on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Today, we have your hosts, Brad, myself, Jody, and Steve. And our special guest today is Gem Nicholls. Gem is an IT consultant by day and a proponent of women in technology at the university level by night. And her favorite expression is, give me apps. Hey, Brad.
Hey, what's up?
Hey. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, you too. Happy Friday.
Thank you. That's true. It's Friday here.
So what's been happening?
All kinds of exciting stuff. We've got some great news. I don't know if you heard about the shuttle coming from one side of the United States to the other.
I did. Very cool.
Here in the States. How about in Australia? What's happening over there?
Not much.
Quiet, huh?
What about you, Steve? What have you been up to, mate?
Let me see. A little bit of work. I'm getting ready for RealmsCon, which is going to be coming up next month. Of course, with the new iPhone and iOS coming out, I was scrambling to show that on my show, some videos and stuff. And,
there's so many people that want to get out videos first, isn't there, Steve?
Well, I just want to do it for my show. Not necessarily videos, but some information.
Yep. People want to do videos first and be in front of other people. It's quite funny, actually, to see. What about you, Jody? Did you see the new iPhone 5?
Well, did I see it? I haven't actually physically seen it, and I have some very distinct feelings about whether it makes sense or not for Apple. I have the 4S, and I made a very conscious decision not to upgrade to the 5. Want to know why?
Because you don't like the big screen?
I think a big screen... Well, hey, bigger they say is better. I like a big screen. The problem is I don't like a big phone.
Okay, fair enough.
And a lot of the features I didn't feel were that much more significant of an upgrade over the 4S. I think if somebody had a 3 or a 3G or, the 4, it probably would make sense because there was such a big leap, I think, between the 4 and the 4S. Mm-hmm. But I don't see it as being as big of a step up from the 4S to the 5, other than the fact that it looks different. It's bigger.
Very nice. I like it. I like the way it looks. And Jem, hello. Welcome to the show. What to say?
Hey, thank you.
Hey, what's up?
Not a lot, actually. But I do have the 4S myself, and I really don't see the point in having the extra screen. I'm not sure that with my long fingernails that I'd be able to accurately press any icons that were quite that high up.
Right.
And it's not just that. I mean, I kind of wonder if you'd be getting value for money upgrading.
Well, I think it would be because you're getting the 4G. I like the 4G. I want to get it for 4G.
How do you go for 4G reception though? I suppose down in Melbourne it's alright, but up here it's quite patchy.
Are you in the city area or Brisbane or out?
Yeah, I actually live right in the CBD, and we probably wouldn't be able to get it here. There are some patches that do, but yeah, we don't get very good mobile reception.
You can always check if you're going to go with Optus or Telstra. Check to see if you get good 4G before you get the phone. So yeah, you can always check it.
Yeah, but then you travel and then you don't get it all again. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah.
Well, actually, for the people who don't really upgrade to the iPhone 5, I mean, they're still getting some more features with the iOS 6, which is a free download for most iPhones.
You get more in some ways and less in some ways, though, because they did get away from the Google Maps and replaced it with Apple Maps, which is a little bit controversial.
Yep. Yeah, sure is.
It is indeed. Tell us about the maps, Jody.
Well, interestingly enough, there's a lot of people who are not 100% happy with the fact that Apple replaced the apps with their own, the maps with their own maps. And the reason, kind of varies. Some people feel that the Apple Maps do not have the public transportation installed. What they did do that's nice is that it does give you oral or audible step-by-step directions, but evidently not all of the areas have been scanned to the same level, and from what I understand, there's a lot of mistakes. What have you guys heard?
We don't get turn by turn over here until October, so...
Well,
yeah.
For myself, I know there is some mistakes in the Apple Maps, but I think the satellite view has potential to become quite a bit more advanced than what Google's doing, because the Google is kind of still like 2D, and it's more three-dimensional with the Apple Maps with the flyovers and everything. So I don't know. I think it's a lot of potential once they fix a lot of the problems.
Yeah, I agree. So Jay, you want to jump into some news before we chat with Jim?
Sure, yeah. I mean, part of the news actually has to do with Apple's release of the new iPhone 5. And I know here in the States, we've had lines out the door. The Apple iPhone sold out on the first day that they released it. And consequently, the only way that here in the States, at least, that you can get the phone is if you go to the store. They say that the sales were unprecedented and outsold all of the other Apple iPhones on their launch dates. The dilemma has been that a lot of people have kind of taken a step back and said they're not happy with the Maps feature, and they feel that perhaps Apple jumped into it before they should have. There are some cool things that were released with Apple iOS 6, and I don't know how many of you have gotten a chance to play with it, but you do have this really cool way where you can showcase the world. You can completely redesign Maps, replaces Google Maps. And it's interesting, too, because there's conjecture why Apple did that. Evidently, on the Android phones, Google Maps did already have turn-by-turn directions, but they did not allow it in the Apple phone. So this new completely designed Maps app replaces the Google Maps, and it has some nifty features like turn-by-turn directions. It has flyover because it uses vector-based images, 3D renderings of many of the destinations. And one of the less helpful but kind of fun features is the ability to zoom out in satellite mode to see the Earth as a glowing blue ball in space. And you can actually pinch to zoom out until the map becomes a globe, and then you can even spin it around. So I don't know if you guys have tried that yet.
No, I haven't tried that yet.
You also have the panorama feature, which I don't know why I thought that was only going to be offered on the iPhone 5, but it is included in the iOS 6 upgrade.
Yep.
So if you go into your regular photo app and you click options, there should be something that tells you that you can also do panorama. And in the 4S, it's actually pretty decent. It looks pretty good. One of the other features that they added that a lot of people may not be aware of in your messages, you can now insert your photos in mail. I don't know how frustrated you guys were, but I know that whenever I try to send a picture, you'd have to go to the picture and select the picture, and then you can send it from there. But now when you go to the mail app, you can include the message, the picture in the message. Oh, I don't know, have you guys tried that or not really?
Not really. I haven't tried it yet. I bet I will though.
Okay, and then, YouTube has disappeared, but it's still kind of there, sort of. For one thing, there is a YouTube app that you can download, but the app doesn't support uploading the videos to YouTube. So what you can do, because that feature is built into iOS 6, what you do is you pick a video in the Photos app, select Share, and then the old YouTube app and icon will still appear, which is kind of strange.
Cool. What about PhotoStream? Have you tried out PhotoStream at JD?
I have not tried PhotoStream. Have you?
Very cool. Yes, I have. Very nice.
Can you limit who gets to see it?
Yes, you can. You can invite anyone you want. One person up to whatever, how many you want.
There's also a feature now where you can share calendars. Have you tried that?
That one I knew about, I think.
You try that?
Oh,
I have.
Myself,
have you,
no. No, myself, no.
Okay, well.
What about you, Jem? What's your view on OS 6? What have you been trying out?
Oh, I absolutely love some of the upgrades. I love the Do Not Disturb. So, you know, I have a dock beside my bed and I want to charge my phone every night, but I don't want it flashing in my face every time there's a notification.
Yep.
So I can just switch Do Not Disturb on. It's fantastic.
Cool.
Have you seen what happens when somebody actually gives you a phone call?
Yes, that's cool.
Yes. And you're able to send them a text message, you know, or call you back later or send a reminder to yourself. Which is really handy. I'm in and out of meetings all day and most nights, you know, watching presentations or whatever it might be. And a lot of the time I can't take the call and I forget to call them back. So I really love that feature. And I actually don't have too much of a problem with the maps. I was just saying this earlier that I use maps very sparingly, but the thing that I like is it looks cleaner. When I focus in on where I am at the moment, because it doesn't have all the lot numbers and everything like that, it's much clearer, it's much cleaner, it's much quicker as well. So it used to be quite slow in rendering, and that's not the case anymore. It's almost instantaneous, even when scrolling quite quickly. So I actually like the new maps interface.
As far as the maps myself, I've heard that the new the way Apple does maps is actually a lot faster, which I heard you say, Jim. I think it seems to be that way as well. Especially even for the satellite view, of course, which has to bring the pictures and photos into it than just the regular 2D version. How about you, Jody? Did you notice it was faster than Google Maps? Or?
You know, I think it's a very attractive application. I guess the big gripe that people have, and honestly, I don't have a need for it yet, but if I did, I guess I'd be frustrated as well, is the public transportation. Apparently, the public transportation layer has not yet been implemented. So people who are, who live in the city and are used to taking public transit, evidently that information was available on the Google Maps, and it's not apparent or it's not available yet in Apple. But I believe Apple has plans to add it. I'm not sure that they've announced when they're going to add it.
Well, it's kind of nice that they put directions in, with the Apple Maps now. I still have a dedicated GPS, which I'd rather use because it has its own, I can put it right on the window and other things. Actually, it does give you like points of interest as well you can download. Now, I could see where people would more want it integrated with their phone. That way, instead of taking two separate devices, everything's integrated. So
that's a good point, Steve. And I think what's happening now is that the phone has become the camera, and now the phone is becoming the GPS. It's becoming your video game console and your mini television, and it's replacing a lot of other devices. Brad, would you agree with that?
I agree with you 100%.
Well, one of the cool features also that we haven't discussed yet, in the map feature, you can adjust the turn-by-turn direction volume. Yep. Which I think is a big upgrade because
I want turn-by-turn. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but you can adjust the volume. So, because here's the thing. I'll be out on the bike. Jem, I have a motorcycle, and I use the either a GPS or my iPhone for music and for directions. And there's nothing worse than trying to look cool and pulling up at an intersection, and all of a sudden you hear this voice goes, "Turn left at the next intersection." it kind of like interrupts the music and everything. So it's nice to be able to either turn that down or minimize that volume.
Cool. All right. What else, Jody?
So,
Happening news. What else?
Well, other than the iPhone and the iOS 6, let's see. There's an interesting thing that happened out here that had to do with the space shuttle flying from one side of the country to the other. And NASA took advantage of social media to make Mars, Curiosity, and Endeavour major events. And, Chris Voss, Chris was at the Endeavour landing over in, I'm not sure if he was in San Diego or LA, but what they did was they brought in a lot of the social media types and had them live blog and record and videotape. They really went out of their way to assure the fact that social media luminaries would have an opportunity to get involved. So I'm just curious, have you guys heard anything about the shuttle? Have you seen any of this buzz that's gone on?
I've seen a few photos, but that's about it. But hasn't been much news on over here.
I did hear something about it. Now, I'm not necessarily. I didn't notice it like on the social networking sites. I'm sure there was. I know that they were flying it over. Actually, I know they flew over a certain area. It was like, I don't know if it was like for the anniversary of 9/11, or it was something that they flew over in particular. Because I don't know if somebody died in some catastrophe or something like that. I think it was 9/11, but I'm not 100% sure. They flew.
Well, there's a NASA Connect page, and you can see all of the social outlets where you can get information about NASA, which I think is pretty cool. I think everybody's pretty curious about the space mission. And NASA, believe it or not, their Twitter following has grown to over 3 million.
Wow. What?
They have 50 social meetups, and it's interesting too because you figure they are funded by taxpayer dollars, and I guess what they're trying to do is get information out to everybody about the cool things that they're doing in order to continue getting their funding. I mean, that's my take on it. But
cool. All right. What about you, Jen? Do you know much about this?
I've seen it all across Twitter and Google Plus today, but I don't think there's been any sort of talk about it, sort of, out on the streets or anything like that. I think as well that we have a bit of, obviously we don't have any sort of space program over here in Australia. So there's interest, but it's not something that's, that, a flyover is sort of big news. But I personally, I'm really interested in it. And I love the way that NASA is taking social media by storm. And actually, one of the engineers that was part of the Mars Curiosity program is on Google Plus and has posted it a number of times in response to, I guess you could say, a mob requesting he graces us with his presence. So that was quite cool as well.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's been enjoyable, and everybody seems to be quite. They seem to be quite lighthearted in their. They'll give you the facts, but they're still keeping things social, which is really important, that they're not taking themselves too seriously.
Cool.
What's really cool about social media, too, is the fact that, here's somebody who's an engineer from NASA, and you're really, literally halfway across the planet, and yet you guys are having a conversation. I think that's major cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sort of scope and range of people that you can talk to and the life experiences that you can learn from them is just incredible. And all you have to do is give it a go and say hello. And that's all it takes a lot of the time.
Agreed. Other than that, there's just 2 more stories that I posted in the show notes. When you guys get a chance, you can go in and try them for yourselves. It's interesting how some very creative organizations have integrated with Facebook, and what they've done is they've been able to pull bits and pieces, just enough, from your profile and weave it into a story and make it a little bit terrifying. So, as we go into the fall, I thought these would be kind of fun to play with. So try them if you dare. One is biotechthriller.com, and the other one, the scarier one, is takethislollipop.com.
Okay.
Some guy took my lollipop all right. I was
I don't want to
doing it
hear
during
about
the
your
show.
lollipops.
All right. We'll check them out.
Okay.
So, so Steve, who's the guests we have on today, mate?
We got Jeff Nicholls from Australia. Did I say that right? Jim?
It's a girl. His name's not Jeff. It's not a guy.
No, I said Jim. Jem. Well, it sounds like I said I, but it didn't. Jim. J-E. Well, how do you pronounce it?
Jem.
Okay, Jem.
Yeah,
Gem,
well,
as
Ruby is
yeah, but
sapphire,
I said it real fast and make it sound like Jim.
Yeah, you said Jeff.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So, Jeff,
Okay.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Whatever. Man, woman, whatever.
So
Whatever
what does
works.
this mean? I wish I could live in a world full of ducks, cats, chiffons, silk pastels, classic fashion, and salon visits. I love that.
I think the world should be pretty. I think there's too much ugliness and there's too much hate, and yeah, that's what I would love. That would be fantastic.
But no
and I think,
puppies.
sorry?
No puppies?
Puppies are cool. Kittens are better. And
Okay.
Brad and I have that argument regularly over which is better. But that's okay. We can enjoy both. But yeah. So just I'm a real proponent of treating everybody with optimism. Everybody's intentions are good until they're proven not. And that's sort of one of the underpinnings of our society, I think, both in America and in here and here in Australia. So again, soft, pretty pastels would be fantastic. I think the sky should be pastel pink.
A kinder, gentler world.
Yes, exactly. But as I mentioned as well in my profile, sometimes you do. A lot of the time, you have to live in reality, and the reality of the world is that for me, as a woman in tech, and this is what I really wanted to talk about today, it can be quite difficult, and you can come across boundaries that you didn't think existed, or opinions, or just difficulties in the workplace or wherever it might be. And a lot of young women just need a helping hand. So I'm part of Women in Technology's mentorship program, and it's designed to give women from an undergraduate degree level and up just a guiding hand and a listening ear. So that's
How do you find the women?
Fantastic, actually. It's a very supportive program, and it's important to note as well. I think a lot of the programs go overboard, and they sort of go into the we must have 50% of the board as women. We must have this. We'll put this in legislation, and it will all happen, and we'll get these wonderful pink skies. But that's not the case at all, and I think a lot of women feel quite disillusioned about that. So I think as long as you keep it real and keep it honest, and everybody's in it for the right reasons, then it can really work, and it really works very well.
So,
Good deal.
Brilliant. So, Jem, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Who's your favourite female tech person?
Ooh, that's a very good one. I don't tend to do celebrity very well. I don't like to idolize people who are not close enough for me to know enough about them.
Right.
So I'd rather idolize people that that I interact with that change my sort of life or my way of thinking for some reason. So there's a couple of ladies. One is Gail from Twitter.
Oh yeah, Gail. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's the founder and CEO of Career Cup, ex Google, Apple, and Microsoft. So she's quite big on women in technology, and she also has the she has the engineering background to back that up. And there are a number of really great sort of women out there that aren't celebrity status, that aren't they're not in your face as I don't know, bikini shots or funny video logs or anything like that. So they're the people that I really love to listen to, and I'll always give them sort of my time of day to listen to their opinion and their thoughts.
Oh, what sort of technology do you get into?
Well, that's the thing. You've got to get into pretty much everything these days. You have to be a multitasker, and you have to know multiple languages, and you have to know you almost have to know how to write an app for Android and iPhone and Windows Phone, and you have to write, you have to be able to code, HTML5, responsive websites, and things like that. So it's quite hard to be a specialist these days. I don't think that a lot of people have that benefit, particularly not sort of in the corporate world. But I think in the hobbyist world, I pretty much stick to Ruby on Rails, just because it's easy and it's fun, and I can knock something up quickly, and I can have a bit of fun with it. And with all the different APIs that are out there, you can really grab some data. You can grab pictures of Tumblr, you can grab posts off Google, whatever it may be. You can get the information you need and join it up together and make something that's actually really cool.
Yep, definitely. Do you make iPhone apps, or
No, I don't make iPhone apps. I'd love to though. But there's another school of thought as well, that if you have a properly responsive website, you don't need a phone-specific application.
Right.
Because if you're building a phone-specific application, iOS is a little bit different because all the screen sizes until now have been the same. But on Android, of course, you've got all the different devices that run Android, and you never quite know what you're going to be programming for. So it's quite difficult to actually release an app that's not buggy on an Android platform.
All right. Steve, any questions?
Yeah, actually I do. Of course, you said you get kind of like women into technology. So do you offer, what are some of the services you offer to get these women, to get in this technology field?
Sure. So mostly it's about mentorship, but it's and it can be as formalized or as informal as the two parties that are undertaking it wish. So it's not a prescription. If you need help and you're a young woman, then you can come to us and we can help you out, even if you're more established in the field. We have mentors that are coming from all different backgrounds. My background is quite different. I didn't go straight to university after school. So I have a bit of a different background of having to work my way up through an organisation to get the technical knowledge to sort of become a project manager and what have you. Whereas there are some women who did sort of take the traditional path. They went straight to school. Maybe they've worked for 5 years, done their masters, worked for another 10 years, and they're quite established. So we have all different situations, and I think that works well because every woman is different, and every woman or every person requires something different as well. So.
Oh, okay. So you basically point them in. You may not have enough information, so you just basically point them to another mentor or mentors, depending on.
Yeah, so there's a group of mentors and a group of mentees, and we have activities and things like speed mentoring. It's kind of like speed dating, where you sort of give your elevator pitch, the other person gives their elevator pitch, and you sort of have that interaction that tells you whether or not you're going to click, whether or not you're interested, whether or not you're on a similar path, and then you move on to the next one. So it's 3 minutes per person. We had one of those a couple of weeks ago, and it was absolutely fantastic to meet so many women doing such incredible things. Particularly, we had a lot of people from the biomedical field, which was really interesting. And again, even if you don't click, then you've built up your network, which is really, really valuable for anybody that's working in our industry.
Hey, Jem, what attracted you to technology? Because not that many women are into it. So I'm just curious what appealed to you initially.
That is such a good question. I'll tell you the honest truth. I was a bit of a tomboy, and I was very much Dad's girl. And Dad was very mechanically minded and would often ask me to, unscrew this bolt or read this number or what have you. And I sort of found out that I liked computers and cars, and I kind of liked those pursuits, even though they were seen as boyish. And when we were 12, I think we got the internet, and I think, was it Yahoo? They had many years ago, I think it was back in 1997, they had a website where you could, as a kid, you could make your first website, and if you pressed the button, you could actually see the code behind each of the, the background color and all that sort of stuff. And that was just very cool to me. And I never quite had enough to do as a kid, so I basically taught myself how to do HTML, and from there I just yeah, it was just computers all the way. I was always on the computer, whether it be games or, you know, I don't know, whatever it was at the time, Yahoo Chat or whatever it may be. I was always making friends. I'm still talking to some of them now, you know, from 13, 14 years ago. It was just really a switch, really. As soon as I sort of started to get into it, it was like, this is so cool. I love this. And it's never really been any different for me.
So once you decided on that direction, what kind of background, what kind of education did you go for?
Well, interestingly, I actually wanted to get my engineering degree. So I focused on, in high school, I focused on the sciences. So I did the chemistry, the physics, biology, advanced maths, and all the other subjects that you need to get into engineering at university. For various reasons, I didn't go to university straight afterwards. And I have been entirely self-taught. I was very lucky to get into a telephone company and rose up through the ranks with them. And they taught me programming the phone systems. They taught me VoIP. They taught me all of their call control software. You know, so you double click a number on the screen and it calls it on your desk phone and all that sort of integration and things like that. They taught all that technology to me, and for that I'm ever grateful. And people have just simply been throwing me in the deep end and waiting for me to swim since. And it seems to have worked out so far. I'm in my 6th year now of my double degree. So I graduate March next year.
That's
but it's
awesome.
It's really just formalizing, you know, things that I already knew or had already taught myself anyway. So
sometimes it's frustrating to have to get that piece of paper to prove to the world that you already know it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And while the whole world is telling you, why don't you have Prince 2 or why don't you have your Agile certification or why don't you have this? Like, well, because I study full time and I work full time and I just don't have time. There's only so much you can fit into your brain. I think once you realize that, you stop pressuring yourself a little bit.
What advice would you give to young ladies who are listening to the show, or even young gentlemen, in terms of, you know, what should they be looking at? What should they be learning?
I think they just need to listen to their intuition and trust themselves a little bit more. Confidence is such a big thing, and without confidence, you're not able to believe in yourself. You're not able to learn, and you're not giving yourself all the possible opportunity or chances to spot opportunity. And opportunity comes knocking all the time, and we constantly ignore it. And you can't do that. If you want to live your life, you want to be involved in technology, that's something you're passionate about and that you love doing, absolutely go do it. Do it by whatever means necessary. Meet your goal, basically. That's the biggest thing. Don't let anybody or anything stand in your way.
I'm curious, you know, a lot of people missed our conversation that we had before the show. We were talking about the iPhone 5, and I honestly am glad that you agree with me. What do you think about the new iPhone 5? Do you think it was a big step? Was it an evolution or a revolution?
To be honest, I'm not that impressed with the smartphone market in general, but that's just, you know, my personal opinion, which you asked for, so there it is. I think it's wrong to have such a generic approach to phones, that we have a screen with that's as big as possible. We have minimal buttons. There's no keyboard. I know that sounds old. I know, because we've been there and we've done that. But just because we've been there and done that doesn't mean it didn't work. We just seem to have lost our way of sorts. You know, I'm sure there are people out there that would still love a flip phone, but you can't get them.
Oh my goodness!
I'm sure that, but I'm sure that there are. Well, that's just it. We don't possibly know all the reasons that somebody might want something. So I really want a physical keyboard. And the reason being is that I find it very hard to type on an on-screen keyboard with long fingernails, and I have long fingernails. And I understand that's a fashion choice, and I can just, cut my fingernails. But why does the market not provide what somebody clearly wants? And I think that's what frustrates me. So the iPhone 5 for me is just it's more of the same with a little bit of a slightly different wrapping. Yeah,
I agree. All right, Steve, any questions for Gem?
Well, actually, to go into what Jody and Jim was saying.
Did you say Jim?
Gem.
Jim.
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 G.
That's his Texas accent.
Listen, Brad. G-E-M. I'll call her G-E-M from now on. Okay,
Sorry,
G-E-M and Jody.
It's really hard to understand what you said.
Yeah, I know. If I say it fast, it sounds like Jim. J-I-M. Okay.
It's a Texas thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch, going into the
literally.
Talking about the phones. I mean, it seems. I think when of course, Apple came out with their iPhone, and it got popular. I think a lot of companies kind of adopted the touch screen and got away from the keyboard. Well, maybe with the exception of BlackBerry, of course. I think there's still some BlackBerry style phones. I think we still see some physical keyboards. I don't know if I've seen any flip phones, really, but
no. that was just a joke.
Oh, okay. Flip phone.
Yeah.
Maybe people want them.
Yeah, well, people still use the old phones. They want to. Most people don't really want to upgrade to a newer phone. They're just happy with what they have.
But what really surprises me, did you know that there was a student that was in line to get the phone in Boston? He sold his spot in line for $460.
What?
Wow.
And not only that, but the iPhone pre-orders sold out in 1 hour.
I did hear that.
Crazy.
I did hear.
I mean, it really. People were sleeping, outside of the store for a week.
Yeah. Crazy.
I mean,
crazy. It's only a phone. God's sake. Just chill out, people. God, come on.
Hey, somebody hired another person to stand in line.
Phone, but I wouldn't sleep outside the store for a week. No way, no.
Somebody hired somebody else to stand in line for him for $1,400. So it kind of beats the other one.
Isn't that crazy?
Do you think that lining up for a phone is very much like the first comment on YouTube videos?
Yeah.
I was first.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like some sort of achievement. I think it's a shame.
So Jem, how do you like Google Plus so far? You've been on there for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I actually joined up. I think it was August last year. Must have been just after they were still in beta at the time.
Yep.
And yeah, I sort of stumbled along with it a little bit and wasn't quite sure what to make of it. Sort of got really geared up start of the year. We had the photo walk, the worldwide photo walk, which was fantastic. Great for meeting new people. And since then, I've really gotten into it. I'm doing a lot of events, a lot of local events for things that are happening in the city. Trying to get people together, trying to get people to meet each other, and make new friends and things like that. And that's been quite useful. The Hangouts are great fun. As you know, I love doing Hangouts from live events. So I was at Beck Lawton's album launch last night. I live hang out from there. Oh. Everybody can join in and have a watch, which is great and lots of fun. I think the disappointing thing for me is not having the read-write API. That's really starting to hurt them. The fact that when you check into Foursquare, it goes to all of your different social networks except for Google+, and then you have to go into Google+ and check in there as well. So it's the outlier, and a lot of the time I don't share information on Google+ because I've already shared it on Instagram or Foursquare or some other application. So integration between applications has got to be the fundamental must-do. I don't understand how they can possibly get away with not doing that. That's just me.
Brad? Brad, you still there?
I think he passed out.
Probably.
Yeah, I know.
I talk too much. I'm sorry.
Not at all. No, I think he's still trying to figure out and digest everything.
Yeah.
But no, do you use any kind of clients like Twitter clients or anything like that on when you said everything posts to everything, everywhere else? Do you use any kind of what do you like? What do you use?
Well, I really enjoyed TweetDeck, the original TweetDeck before Twitter bought it and changed it. Which does still run, although it can get a bit buggy sometimes. It's multi. I love it because it's multi-column. You can set your columns to do pretty much whatever you want. You can schedule all of your tweets. You can post to Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and pretty much everything. So that's a great desktop tool for Twitter, although I think Hootsuite's probably taking over that space now. And other than that, I really just use the proprietary apps and the sort of, the new startup ones, like Voxer and Circle and Highlight.
So you use Voxer?
Yeah.
How do you like Voxer?
Absolutely love Voxer. I think it's fantastic that you can just send a voice message to anybody, anywhere in the world, and they get it.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And Circle is a good app. I removed it off my phone. I don't use it anymore. I use Highlight more. How do you like Highlight so far, Gem?
Highlight, I can see that it's great value, but the people that it's picked up, only a handful of people here in Brisbane. I think the market's quite small. And the people that it has picked up, for some strange reason, haven't been very forthcoming and saying hello, or you send them a message and they don't send anything back. So
yeah, I agree. They're not very social. Some of these people,
which is funny because they're downloading an app that's
exactly
designed to do that. So I think there's a little bit of. I think the society might need to mature a little bit about social media and open up a little bit.
You need to listen to the. We chatted with Paul Davison on Tech Plus. Should have listened to that one day. He went over the app really well and explained how it all worked, and it's quite interesting.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
What's that, Highlight, Brad?
Yeah, Highlight, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we chatted with him on Tech Plus a while back, and he was a great guy to talk to. He went over the app really well and explained how it all worked and that sort of thing. And Robert Scoble loves it, and I know he calls that the freaky line or something or whatever.
Wow.
As long as it's not like chat roulette, that's
yeah.
And it's unfortunate too because like Hangouts have become kind of like chat roulette-ish, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
That happened to us one time. Remember?
Oh, it happened this morning. Chris was in the Apple store, Chris Voss, and he got his hands on the iPhone 5. That's when I was trying to text you and wake you up, Brad. And so he said to me, make a Hangout. So, of course, I made a Hangout. I do what I'm told. And then he said, open it up to the world. So we did, and thank God Jacob was there because Jacob acted as a gatekeeper. It seems like every other person that came in decided that they had to scratch their itch on a Hangout. So I don't know why they do that, but
I had this
it's not
same
appropriate.
Experience. Last night I was in a very public place, hanging out and doing a live hangout for a band, and so all of a sudden somebody came on and was doing precisely that, and it was both embarrassing and slightly disturbing at the same time because obviously you're in a public place and people can see these things, and it's the same thing when you stream to YouTube. You sort of do have to worry a bit about who's going to pop in and what they might do.
And it's a shame. I don't know any way that the way that it's set up now. I think that there is a way you can pre-screen, like before people get to come in, they go into like another area,
Really?
and then you can bring them in. Yeah, I think it's one of the add-ons.
Oh, okay.
For Hangouts. I'll research it and I'll get back to you with put it in the show notes too. But it's part of the Hangout applications.
Great.
Cool. All right. So, Gem, where can they find you on Twitter and stuff before we go and that sort of thing?
Okay, it's Ms. Gem Nicholls, so it's MSGEM Nicholls, NICHOLLS. That's Facebook and Twitter and my Google Plus. Well, I suppose you can find me through Brad.
Yeah.
So yeah, just add me, and let's start talking.
And I'll just put the link on the show notes to your Google Plus page.
That'd be awesome.
All right. And Steve, where can they get you at, mate?
Here on justin.tv/LinuxCoolDude and also on Twitter as Chatterbox_live.
All right. And you can get me at Brad Oz and Tech Webcast. Jody, where can they get you?
On Twitter, I am Sunswept, and everywhere else I'm either webmarcom.net or Jody Rains. So feel free to connect.
Now, the iPhone 5. What do you think of sum up on the iPhone 5 before we go? Jody, what's your last word about the iPhone 5?
I think it's great if you have a 3G, a 3, or a 4. I would go for it. If you have a 4S, you might want to hold.
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I think it's a good upgrade. I think that's probably the most requested features, a larger screen size, which now they have out there.
Cool. What about you, Gem? You gonna get one? Or you know, stick with the i4S?
No, I'm going to stick with the 4S now. See what comes out next.
All right. Okay, that's good stuff. All right. Thanks for being on, Gem. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Want to mention anything before we go? We left any out, or you want to plug anything, or what?
Well, yeah, that Shop Style app that we were talking about. Basically, it's called Shop Style.
Yep.
Great for women or men if you like shopping.
Yep.
And it allows you to know. A lot of people will say, "I need this for this event. I need a black dress, and I want it between these prices, and I need them in this size." So you have all of your criteria. It allows you to plug all of that in, and it sweeps the internet and looks for websites that are offering exactly what you're looking for. So it saves you time, it saves you money, and it's just one of the best shopping apps I've ever used. And it's visual and it's pretty. Go download it. It's fantastic.
All right. Do you have an iPad as well, or you just have the iPhone?
They have an iPad app. Yeah, they do, but I don't have the iPad.
Oh, you have an iPad, okay.
But it works just as well on the iPhone.
All right. Good stuff. All right. All right. Keep talking a minute, Steve. What else is happening?
I don't know. We already kind of went over all the news already.
Yep. And, yep, that's about it. Jody, thanks for being on. Jody, again.
Thank you for having me, Brad.
No problem.
As always, a pleasure.
And Jackson's away next 3 shows.
Right,
yeah,
right. And I'll make sure to have the news up and ready for each one.
You're so smart at doing that sort of stuff. Steve, thanks, mate.
Okay, sure thing.
Yeah, thanks for your time. And also you lost the game as well as every day, every week.
Yeah, junior games. Oh, jeez.
Yep. And Jacob Jones, you lost the game as well. You're not here, but I don't know where he is. But do you know Jacob, Gem?
Yeah.
Do you like him?
I don't know him that well. I know he's one of your friends.
No, he's not one of my friends.
Oh,
Glenn from Aussie Tech Heads. Join Will, Eric and myself as we bring you the latest, most up-to-date important tech news that affects you from Australia and the world. Weekly podcast available each Friday through iTunes. Watch the live stream recording of the show at live.thesecrethub.com each Thursday night 7:30pm or GMT plus 10. Call in live via Skype or chat in our lounge. However you get us, just make sure you do. Listen or visit our website for more information, www.aussietechhead.com.au. Aussie Tech Heads, Australia's longest running tech news podcast.
Well, that's it for Tech Webcast this week. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed having your mind expanded. Tune in next week for more tech talk with Brad, Jason, and whatever crazy guest they've managed to rope in. Don't forget to get the Tech Webcast app from iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at Tech Webcast, and of course check us out on Facebook too. Until next time, may the tech be with you. Peace.